Two professionals in separate fields are central cast members in one of the biggest plays that any Kenyan government has ever attempted to stage. Use of technology in the provision of affordable healthcare to all citizens. And as President William Ruto's administration prepares to roll out the multi-billion shilling health plan next month, details of the lucrative 10-year contract are beginning to emerge. That is covered on the daily newspaper. Now, at the very top of the paper, fresh talks to end public university workers' pay strike starting today. Then, of course, the victims of 720 million job scam suspects storm city offices to demand for refunds. Now, this is just sad on every kind of level. People are looking for jobs, yet you decide to con them off the very monies that they do not have in the first place. Quite sad, right? Now, Gachagua ouster bid MPs collect signature. The planned impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is gathering momentum, with some MPs saying that they have appended their signatures in support of the motion. That is also featured on the Standard newspaper. Then a rotten force, how police bribes are shared up chain of command. Then there's a photo there of a Toyota Probox that was damaged after a police officer grabbed the keys from the driver at a roadblock in Bomet and reversed the car into a ditch following a bribery row on January 30th, 2022. Quite sad, right? Okay, then we have the Star newspaper. In the copy of the Star, they are talking about the Senate grinds to halt as funding crisis bites. Now, 450 million Kenyan shillings debt accumulated. Insiders say there has been salary delays. Now, house allocation slashed by 600 million following withdrawal of the finance bill after the Gen Z demos. Then an interesting story right there. A Lagos Songa ODM branch chairman John Orwenjo Umida, there is an ex-Siaya mayor, is to be buried in his palatial house. I think we're going to talk about it more on the drift tomorrow. Now, the grave is in the sitting room. Urenjo's house there's a photo there of Urenjo's house, of the grave in the sitting room. Then Urenjo's house, young men lead a bull to be slaughtered for the ceremony. Yeah. All right, police used lethal weapons of war against protesters, lobbies probe establishes. Then Norway MPs make U-turn on emerging bursary schemes. Then fresh hurdle for Ruto as Kanja appointment challenged in court, right? Okay, that is an interesting one. I'm sure we featured that one in our news bulletins. Then we have the Standard newspaper at the very top of the Standard. MPs raise a storm over new farms in health cover deal. Medics' death points to a crisis in sector. Of course, sadly, there was the suicide by a medical student or a medical intern based on the stringent working conditions that they encounter or they face. Now, government loans more expensive. Government loans seems to be more expensive. That is featured on the Standard business page. Then Hezbollah fires missiles at Israel, making the death toll to rise. Then, of course, at the very center of the Standard, staring at an impeachment drawing near. Members of Parliament say the motion to remove Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is ready and has garnered the requisite support from members to meet the threshold. However, there is a split on who will lead the onslaught, with some pointing at the opposition through Junet Mohammed and others the government side through Kimani Ichung'wah. Now, the impeachment motions. Number one, the impeachment motion against Gachagua could be tabled in Parliament anytime now, with reports suggesting it is ready and has support of the necessary number of members of Parliament. Number two, Ruto allies say signatures are coming in fast and furious, and that more than 116 lawmakers have signed and may be tabled before the president returns from his U.S. trip. And then number three, this is not the first time that the country is witnessing threats to have its deputy president ousted, as this deputy president Ruto faced similar threats when he fell out with the president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. That is what is happening in the Standard newspaper. At the very back, Nkunku blows out Barrow as Chelsea books a last 16 ticket. Of course, it was Chelsea versus Barrow, Chelsea 5, Barrow nil, and then we have some list of League Cup results that will happen on Tuesday. Man City 2, Watford 1, Walsall and Leicester 0-0, but Leicester won on penalties with 3-0. Then Wycombe and Wanderers 1, Aston Villa 2, AFC Wimbledon versus Newcastle match was postponed. Of course, you know, also Manchester United played against Twente. They drew. That was 1-1. Arsenal versus can't remember the team Arsenal played with, but I just remember they had 5-1, and that is what is important. That marks at the end of the newspaper review that we have done today. Although there was an interesting story in the Daily Nation, if I'm not wrong, inside the Daily Nation, the story of 6 bones are all family gets after father's disappearance. That is a very touchy story right there, and the person in question is an 80-year-old. Yeah, man, an 80-year-old. Anywho, away from that, coming up next, we have the interview session. Now, allow me to just check the name of my guests, because these names are just not your normal Kenyan names. Now we'll be having a bishop from Uganda, and his name, let me get that. Oh, yes. We'll be having 2 guests, a lady and a gentleman. And the lady is Rosette Kyomuhondo, right? Kyomuhendo, sorry. Yes, Rosette Kyomuhendo will be joining us in just a few. And of course, Bishop Johnson Lubega of Grace, of Oasis of Grace Churches in Uganda. So we have Ugandans today on set. Bring in your questions. They'll be telling us their journey of faith, how it has been for them working for the Lord, and how they even got into salvation in the first place. An amazing conversation. I'm sure you'd want to join in. Consolata Chibalonza is my name. See you in a few.